Hello everyone, hope you guys are having a good day. It is May 25th, and today I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about pretty much the normal stuff, that we're in an active severe weather pattern right now. It does look like we're going to have a severe weather outbreak, that gets started tomorrow. And yeah, so I guess let's get started with the video. So real quick, this is kind of what we had yesterday, May 24th. We ended up having 17 tornado reports. And actually, those two that cell I was talking about in southwestern Kansas by Garden City, that did end up producing a tornado. And all the tornado reports were in western Kansas. So maybe a little bit of a localized tornado event in that area. But that's that. So today we do have two slight risks. We have one up in Wisconsin and UP and Michigan, and we have another pretty much in the southern plains. But day 2 and day 3 are like to be the most interesting. This is Wednesday. We have an enhanced risk in Nebraska and northern Kansas. We also have a slight risk in the northeast. And two 5% tour risks, 30 sig wind. SPC thinks wind is going to be the main threat inside of that enhanced risk on Wednesday. And then on day 3, I'm expecting this severe weather event or outbreak to continue. We have an enhanced risk that goes from Oklahoma up into kind of the St. Louis area. So, very active couple of days. Looks like Wednesday and Thursday, like I said yesterday, are going to be pretty significant maybe for severe weather. So let's go ahead and talk about Tuesday. I'm not going to talk about today too much, but I do want to talk about it a little bit. So, this afternoon. We have some storms maybe up in this area. Take a look at dews. Plenty of moisture. Let's take a sounding in Iowa. Definitely supported with some damaging winds. Let me move my pen. Take a sounding further to north. Let's take one in Wisconsin. Maybe a 2% tour risk. I mean, the tornado threat doesn't look to be great. We don't really have a whole lot of directional shear, but the shear is, I guess it's not great, but it is there. It's really limited though. I don't think we're gonna see much of a tornado threat up in that slight risk, but I do think the possibility is there to see a brief tornado. I think the SBC does have a 2% out for that area. Let me see. It's not what I wanted. Yeah, pretty very long 2%. And I would agree with that. I think that this area we'll see a little bit of a tour threat, but it doesn't look to be anything too significant. Anything that happens will likely be brief. Let's take a sounding further to the south. This even looks a little bit worse for tornadoes, but nevertheless, we still have a damaging wind threat with this. And this is the area where we have our slight risk, our other slight risks. So, not the SPC, the HRRR model indicates some storms moving through eastern Texas up into Arkansas. Let's just take two soundings with those. Really, not much of a tornado threat with those, but definitely damaging winds and some hail are definitely a possibility with those storms. And yeah, really damaging wind seems to be the main threat, with some smaller hail possible. But now further to the west, where we're going to have more convection go off in the afternoon in this area. Or let me just go here. Yeah, that's slight risk. We're going to see maybe a little bit more large hail threat. Take a sounding right there in Texas. We can see definitely a large hail threat. The tornado threat doesn't look great at all, but large hail seems to be a pretty significant threat with that area, or in that area. And let's skip ahead to the next forecast hour. This is 7 p.m. That's Central Time, by the way. We have a little bit of a line coming in the areas of Wisconsin and Iowa. Let's take a sounding of that. Still maybe a little bit of a tour threat. A little bit of capping. But overall, damaging winds. And some smaller hail. Maybe some decent-sized hail. And a tour threat. A little bit of a tornado threat. Anything that happens, like I said before, will likely be brief in this area. Now, further to the south, we have some storms starting to go off along the dry line. Right along this boundary. So let me that boundary is right there. Let's go back to precipitation type and take a few soundings. Let's take a sounding right here in western Oklahoma. Let me get rid of that. Definitely a large hail threat. That seems to be the main threat. Damaging winds as well, but really large hail. Uh, take a sounding in Texas. Large hail once again, with a little bit of a damaging wind threat. The tornado threat down here does not seem to be significant at all. Uh, the tornado threat overall today does not look too significant. I do think, I mean, the shear profiles are supportive of a little bit of a tornado threat. It doesn't look great though. Um, but also a thing to notice is it does look like we have some kind of front. We do have a front right here. So we'll have to see. Maybe that could or we have to see how that interacts with the storms. That's going to help for some more that's what's going to be bringing the chance of storms up, and with the northern slight risk and the dry line is going to be bringing the chance of storms at the southern slight risk. But maybe, I mean, just by looking at this setup we have here, this area kind of looks interesting for tornadoes today. It looks overall very interesting. Uh, take a sounding right there, and I mean the shear profiles are nothing special. The shear profiles are actually pretty bad, but if we are gonna see a tornado today, I think there's gonna be two areas. I think this area and this area. Those two areas are gonna be the areas to watch. Now we do have a tornado threat outside of those two areas, but those are the areas I think have the best tornado potential today. And yeah, so that is today. Let's go ahead and skip over to. Let's go ahead and go to Wednesday. We're gonna use the NAM3 for Wednesday. So Wednesday looks to be mainly a damaging wind day. According to the SPC, we can see this is 19Z mid-afternoon. We have our surface low in eastern Colorado. This is actually going to be, or not Colorado, Wyoming, my bad. But this surface low is actually going to be maybe enhancing the damaging wind threat a little bit. Let's just go ahead and go to the next forecast hour, and you'll see what I mean. The NAM3 or the NAM and the NAM3 have been pretty certain about this. We're gonna have storms that go off right along the low. That low is going to be deepening also. We take a sounding there. That's not that good. But let's go later. This is now it's like 7 p.m. We have a lot of storms in this area. Take a sounding in western Nebraska. And once again, not very good. And also, we're going to have an overnight threat as well. And O2Z, this is now 9 p.m. We can see in southwestern Nebraska, the NAM3 indicates a interesting line of storms. Damaging wind threat with those for sure. Not much of a tornado threat showing up on the NAM3, though. The shear profiles, though, aren't bad. These shear profiles, we do have shear. So, we will have to see. I do think we're going to have a 5% tor risk pretty much, or for sure. I'm pretty sure we already do. Yeah, it's kind of it's along this area, but overall, I think we're gonna have a pretty widespread area to watch for tornadoes on Wednesday, and also the Northeast is going to be an area I want to watch. Let's go over to the Northeast, and yes, this is O2Z. We have not a whole lot of I guess action going on. But at 21Z, we can see. This is later. This is around. This is around 5 to 6 p.m. We have a lot of storms coming through New York, PA, all the way up into Maine. Let's just take a few soundings with these. Definitely a 2 to 5% tor risk. We do have a little bit of shear. Plenty of instability. Damaging wind threat seems to be the main threat, but a small hail threat and a little bit of a tornado threat will exist on Wednesday. Take a sounding down in PA. A little bit less of a tor threat. Maybe that would just be a 2%, but still a little bit of a tor threat. I'll stick one up in Maine. And shear profiles are there. So if you're looking really the best area to find a tornado in the Northeast on Wednesday. Now, the Northeast doesn't look great for tornado potential on Wednesday, but the chances there that we could see a a tornado, and we do have decent shear, decent thermodynamics, and that kind of stuff. I do think this area is going to be the area to watch for maybe maybe a tornado or two. It doesn't look like we're going to have anything too long track, but this is the Northeast, and so we could be seeing any tornado that really happens up here could be dangerous due to the fact that there's a lot of trees. And yeah, these storms don't. One good thing is that the NAM3 doesn't really indicate these storms being 2 HP. So that is a plus. PWAD values are pretty high. So yeah, Wednesday there's really two areas to watch. We want to watch the plains, right along the kind of, I guess, the dry line, this area, and I want to watch kind of this area, the Northeast, maybe a little bit further to the southwest, but pretty much that area. That is Wednesday, and the last day I really want to talk about is Thursday, because Thursday I talked about this in yesterday's video. We have a large enhanced risk that goes from Oklahoma all the way to St. Louis, and the tornado threat on Thursday looks actually to be pretty decent. I do think we're going to see a tornado threat on Thursday. So let's go to the 060 NAM. And let's go to Thursday at 18Z. So Thursday at 18Z, we have a surface low around the Omaha area. Maybe some convection coming off along the along some boundary. I think it's going to be a cold front most likely. Yeah, cold front's back over here. Maybe some convection going off in front of that. Really large hail and damaging winds with any storms that go off earlier in the afternoon. Sorry. I think we're sounding in southern Iowa. This is right along the surface low. That's contaminated, but that kind of showed the point about what I'm trying to make here. We're gonna have a tornado threat definitely on Thursday, and that could get enhanced by the surface low. We can see at 18Z. We have a front right there, low right here, another boundary right here. And another area I'd want to watch would be this area down here in Texas and Oklahoma. And yeah, the 2% risk right there. But let's go ahead and skip to the next forecast hour. Let's go to 21Z. Surface low in southern Iowa. This looks like a decent tornado threat. And yeah, that would be 5 to 10%. Or that would be a 5 to 10% risk. Maybe. I'm not going to say 10C. We could even see some snow up in Minnesota, North Dakota, maybe Wisconsin. The NAM does sometimes have a little bit of a cold bias. But we could see a little bit of some snow up there. Nothing that looks to be too significant though. But the area I want to watch really for tornado potential is going to be the northern side of this enhanced risk, closer to the surface low. We're gonna have better shear, or more shear, and I think we're gonna see a tornado threat for sure. And yeah, so if we take a sounding here, that's definitely a 5% risk sounding, but shear profiles are not bad at all. So we're gonna have a tornado threat for pretty much the whole enhanced risk. We're gonna have a decent tornado threat that stretches all the way from southern Iowa all the way down into Oklahoma. I'm thinking really that area, with a threat of tornadoes. And go ahead and let's go to the next forecast hour, 00Z. This is 7 p.m. now on Thursday. We have a lot of convection in Iowa, Illinois. Take a sounding in Illinois. And yeah, those shear profiles are kind of weird. Let's take one in northern Missouri, maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit more in the warm sector. So, okay, so here we go. So, definitely decent shear profiles. This would be supportive of a tornado threat. Take a sounding in Illinois, and maybe we could even have some supercells going off in front of that surface low, which looks like a classic tornado threat. But hopefully. Not hopefully, but this actually happens. Like the NAM is thinking, we could be seeing a pretty decent tornado day for areas of Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa. Even as far south as maybe Kansas and Oklahoma. We take a sounding down there. And definitely a little bit of a tornado threat. So, very interesting day on Thursday. I do think the area we're going to want to watch for the biggest tornado threat is going to be this area, pretty much right to the south and the east of that surface low. Now let's go ahead and talk about Friday. The NAM doesn't really go out all the way or far enough, but this is 18Z Friday. We have our low over in Ohio. Definitely some kind of front right here, and this would allow for maybe some severe weather across this area. But if you look at what's happening right now, we have a heat wave going on in the southeast, and not a lot of moisture. But if we could get enough moisture to come into the southeast, maybe we could see some thunderstorms. Let's take a sound in Kentucky, and not really tornadoes, but definitely damaging wind. That's what I think is going to be the main threat on Friday. Maybe a little bit of a smaller hail threat also, but I think we're going to want to watch really this area there, or this area here. One last thing, I want to take a sounding in Ohio, right along that surface low, and maybe a little bit of better shear, and that would allow for maybe a 2% tornado risk for Friday. We'll get a better idea with this in tomorrow's video once the NAM actually goes out full enough, or far enough, sorry. Another interesting area might be Colorado. Take a sounding there. That's very capped. But that would maybe be another area to watch for maybe some high base storms. But yeah, that'll wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be back tomorrow. Yes, goodbye.